Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this SILOON nut and bolt thread checker. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost anything extra. So the base on this is made of 6061 aluminum. The bolts are made of 304 stainless steel, has anti-slip feet and a hanging hole. This has 19 standard pitches, 15 metric, and 8 drill bit sizes. So on the back, it lists the different sizes. Of course, we'll see those on the checker itself. So let's get this open. So you can see this is very hefty aluminum here. It's about a 1/4 inch thick. We have feet on the bottom that thread on. So we have a ruler on each side. We have centimeters here, inches here. On the left, we have the metric threads. On the right, we have standard threads. And these go up into some pretty big thread sizes here. I'm going to go gather some nuts and bolts so we can test this out. Okay, so I have a couple boxes of scrap nuts and bolts. Let's test a couple of these out. So here's a lug nut. So it can help to look at this at an angle. Now if you have this mounted somewhere, you would just get off to the side, but since it's on camera, I'll tilt it a little bit. So we can look at the threads in here and see if they're kind of a standard or fine. So see, it fits over there. This looks like it could be, but that's a little bit coarse and doesn't fit on here. So that's the standard. Let's try some metric. So that starts to thread on, but it gets a little tight. And that's a 12.175. So let's try the 12 by 1.5. So that threads on there nicely. So you want to make sure you're engaging quite a few threads before you say for certain if it's a certain size. And here I have another lug nut. I don't know what this other lug nut was for. This is for a Toyota, so this is likely to be metric. So I can try this. Okay, so that threads on there. Now you can see I can't thread this all the way down, but I can easily thread it on enough to know that this is the right size. So that's the 14 by 1.5. So let's try a bolt. So this is a fine pitch thread. So we can look at the fine pitch here. That's going to be too small. Okay, so that's threading in there. That's the 5/16 by 14, fine. Now I started out on standard. Let's imagine I started out on metric. So 5/16 is similar to 8mm. So that might be something like this. Now you can see this threads in here, but I'll thread it a little more and it binds up. So it's even almost coming out the back side. But if I push that anymore, that could start damaging the threads. So you don't want to force this. But it brings up a good point is some of the standard and metric threads are very similar to each other. So if I was threading this in here, I felt some resistance. I'd thread that out and I would go on the standard side and find the thread it matches up with here. And you can see here this goes all the way through. So there are going to be some crossover sizes where you really need to be careful. Let's try this here. Now this one, I'm guessing this is a 1/4 thread. It looks like a 1/4 thread. So I can look for a 1/4 course. And here I'm confirming it. Okay, here's a bolt here. Not sure what size that is. So try here. Nope. Too big. Let's try metric. And it looks like a fine pitch. Let's try that. Yep. So we're at 12.125. Here's a really small screw here. So let's try some of these. Again, I'm going to match it up to the threads that are sticking out to get a start. And that looks pretty good there, but no. Try this. Too big. And I'll say for this one, I'm not finding a good match here. And that can happen. This doesn't seem right. This is a little loose here. And this here is too tight. So there are some obscure threads that aren't covered by every thread checker. And this is a very odd machine screw. It has a Torx head on it. I'm not sure what that's from. Here's another screw. Let's try this one. So that's the 4 by 0.7mm. So I'm going to insert a clip now so you can see what this looks like mounted up. Okay, so here I have this mounted on this cabinet door. I just put 2 screws in here. We could also put a screw down here. I don't know if this will be permanent here. I just wanted a nice clean place to demonstrate this. I haven't determined where I'm going to mount this or store it permanently. But if you put this here, you can easily see it at an angle so you can look at the different thread pitch sizes. And I still have those feet on there, so we have a little bit of clearance behind the threads too. So that looks very nice. So this also has gauges for some drill bits. There's not a lot here, but this is 1/4 inch here, and we have 1/2 inch. And then we have some metric sizes. I don't really work with metric drills. but those are on here also. So that's the SILOON nut and bolt thread checker. I'm really a fan of using nut and bolt thread checkers like this. There are a couple things I use them for. There are times when you take a bolt out of a car and it was in there very tight. So you can take the bolt up to this and you can find out what thread it is. And then you could use a tap and die set and find the correct size in your tap and die set. And you can chase those threads to clean them up a little bit. A lot of us also shop online now. So you might need some hardware. So you can check the thread size and then you can go online and order hardware online. One time I wanted hardware for my car, so I guessed on the bolt size. I special ordered some bolts. I got them in and they were the wrong size. Had I had a thread checker like this, I could have checked them before I ordered and it would have saved me a hassle. I like that this has really small threads and the really large ones. Now one issue you can run into is there could be some nuts that don't fit on these large studs here. There might not be enough clearance, but as I showed with some of the lug nuts, they did fit on here enough to be able to confirm the thread pitch size. Now these feet do come off here and they are threaded. They appear to be 4mm by 0.7mm. So if you don't screw it with these slots, you could even use these threaded portions to create a custom mount for this in a toolbox or something. So if you don't have a nut and bolt thread checker, I highly recommend getting one. These can also be a great gift for anyone you know that's into automobile work and other mechanical type things that use threads. It can also be useful to have multiples of these. So if you have a supply of nuts and bolts, you can keep one near that, and you could also have one in a toolbox or a work area. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you liked this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.